Today we're going to look at how to paint terracotta pots, and I've got a series on that, so if you check the playlist at the end you will be able to click on to other videos in the same series. And today we're looking at dot painting. So I've got out my little pots and I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use dot painting to decorate your pots. Hello, my name is Judy West and I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Today you'll not only learn to paint these 3 pots, but you'll learn 8 different design options. Number 1 method for dot painting is to just put dots all over the pot randomly. You could use all the same colour, or you could use a variety of different colours, and you can use a variety of different size dots. But there's no specific pattern to it. It's just random and easy, and this would be excellent to start with when you're doing this with kids, and especially small children. They can have lots of fun doing this. So I have dotting tools here, and I've got an overabundance, as you can see, but there's all sorts of different tools there you can use for dot painting. But I've also got some paintbrushes that have fallen apart, so I can use that end or that end to get 2 different sizes. Knitting needles, crochet hooks, the end of a paintbrush that isn't broken. You could still use the end of a paintbrush. A pencil, you could use that end or that end, the rubber end. You could use cotton buds. Anything that's got a solid round tip, not a soft tip. If you've got an old biro that no longer writes, that round end would be perfect for dot painting small dots. So it's up to you what you use, but I'm going to use these today. I'm just going to put out some random pretty colours on here. Don't need a lot of paint for this. Now, if you're doing this with children, then I would just leave the pot like that and maybe put it on a lazy Susan so you could turn it around, or just stick your finger in the end and turn it around as you need to, so therefore you're not touching the sides. If you're not going to paint the rim, you could have it sitting up that way and just turn it round by the rim. When I do it, I just hold it like that and flip it around with my fingers, moving my fingers to get it to rotate. But I will be holding on its side today to give you an idea. I'll just put a pen either side so that it doesn't roll, just to give you an idea of what I'm actually doing. And I'm going to choose a couple of different sizes. Now with this one, what we're going to do is add random dots all over the place. So I'm going to maybe go with the big blue dots here, and not necessarily evenly distanced apart, not necessarily always in the same spot. Okay, so there's those randomly spaced around, and I've got an old rag here that I wipe off the excess. I'm going to go to a different size, and let's look at maybe these lemon ones. Now we might go to a smaller dotting tool and add more in between again. There we are, and we've got little dots all over again. Now if you think it looks too even, come and add a couple of extras somewhere, just so that it doesn't look so symmetrical and perfect. Now I'm going to get the white one, and I'm going to do some little dotty lines. Actually, I'll use the smaller one, and I'm going to do some wiggly lines in between, and not necessarily always to the same spot, and just have random patterns of dots going in all different directions. They don't necessarily have to be heading towards another dot. They could be heading off the side of the pot too. And it doesn't have to be every dot that has this happening to it. The white just brightens it up a bit because it was a bit dull a minute ago, so this just brightens it up a bit and adds some extra interest to the pot. And then just have a look around it and see if you think it needs anything anywhere else. And there's a pretty little pattern just with dots, and quite easy to do. What I might do is start with some white dots and just keep going back to the paint for each dot. Now that one doesn't look particularly round, so you could go back to the paint and do it again to get a more rounded look. I'm not going to paint the whole of this pot. I'm just going to give you an idea of how to do this design on one side, and then I'll complete the pots, come back and show you them finished at the end. So there's my white dots. Now I might look at the next size, and I'm going to go around the outside with different colors. So I'm going to go one side, then the other side, and then there's enough room for two in between here, so I'll do one there, and it looks like a little flower. It's quite pretty. There we are. Now I'm going to keep the same dotting tool, but just take that color off the end, and now I'm going to do the same thing with a couple of other colors, and there's that, and that'd make a nice little pattern all on its own. You wouldn't have to do any more to that, just keep going around the pot with that, and you've got a nice little design. But I'm going to come back with this dotting tool, and I'm going to put stems on these flowers. I'm going to make them look as though they are coming up from the bottom. As you keep dotting, instead of going back, each dot gets smaller, so if you find that's too small, you can just go over the next time you come back. There we are. So that's a cute little thing happening there too, with little flowers all growing up from the bottom. Now what I might do is come back, because you can put dots on top of dots, so I'm going to come back with yellow. Oh, it's a lemon, it's not really a yellow. But anyway, and I'm going to get a dotting tool, smaller than the white, but bigger than some of the other tools, and just come and put a yellow dot in the middle of the white dot. There we are. So you can see the yellow dot in the middle. Now, I also have here with me some very narrow tape. And what I'm going to do with the next pot is add lines of tape over the base of this pot. And, you know, you just cut them at different lengths and have them going across the pot in different directions, and virtually creating odd shapes of colour. Now I'm actually not going to paint the rim, I'm only just painting this bottom section, but there's no reason why you couldn't do this on the rim instead of the bottom section too. So many different ways you could approach this. And there we are, there's all our different sections all around the pot. All random, nothing symmetrical and perfect. Now I have a tub of water for this one, because we're going to paint some sections. First of all, I'll come in with different colours, and I'm painting off the tape, not towards the tape. I come from the tape onto the pot, and you're less likely to get bleed under the tape if you don't push the paint towards the tape. You'll find that paint soaks in pretty quickly, so you might have to come back a couple of times and go over it to get solid colour. I'm just using a little round brush, but you could use a little flat brush or a stencil brush. And I'll just keep going, adding patches of colour around the pot to start with. I'm going to colour all of these shapes in with different colours, and I'm going around the pot and not doing the section side by side so that I don't get any of the colours mixed up. I don't want, you know, mixing on my brush a wet piece there. I'm working my way around the pot. See, this is now dry here, so I'll put a colour in there, and I can brush off the edge here without getting that other colour on my brush. Now always remember too, you can't see the other side of the pot until you turn it round, and then you can't see this side of the pot. So if you haven't got enough colours to do a different colour in every shape, you can repeat a colour on the opposite side and you'll never see it until you turn it round. They won't look as though they're sitting right beside each other. This particular video is just really basic pot painting, and you know, you could do this with children. You could do this with small children. So I'm not doing anything that I think would be too difficult for a child, so therefore it's completely doable by an adult. Every space now has been filled. I'll let that dry and then we'll come back and do our dot painting. Now this is dry, so you can now peel the tape off, and it can be a bit of a minefield because you've got to find which one went down last and peel it up over the top of the one that went down before it. There we are. That one went on top. There we are. This one was on top. Now, there is a pretty little one on its own, just with that edge there. That's pretty on its own without doing anything else to it. But what I might do is I might add a dark blue. Oh, I've got a dark purple. I might add a dark purple band around the top there just to highlight that a bit more. Colour I've got is Wood Violet, I think, Jo Sonja one, and I'm just going to add it along the top edge first. Like that. Not going down inside the pot, I'm just going to cover the edge. Of course there'll be dirt and foliage coming up over from the inside, so you don't need to add paint. Okay, so there's a nice top edge to it. And now we just come around the sides. And now we're going to go under that lip all the way around. Now, if you're not steady-handed, what you might want to do is run a piece of tape around under that lip so you can get a straight line that way. There we are, and that's a different look again. Okay, now you could do the same to the other pots and add a rim to those as well if you wanted, or you could just leave them plain. Now the other thing I'm going to do with this little pot is I'm going to add some dots. I might add the dots in the colour of the rim. If you're enjoying this video, please push the like button below, and it gives me an idea of what my audience wants to see. There we are. Now, I don't think I'm going to add it to any more. I think I'm going to leave it at that. But if you wanted to, if you didn't like the randomness of that, maybe you would prefer to have dots in some of the other spaces. It's up to you. but you could have some plain and some dotty. It's up to you. Okay, so there's that one finished as well. And I'll just clean this up and then I'll come back and show you all 3 pots. Now here's our 3 pots all finished, and I'm going to give you a closer look at each one of them. Now I'd like you to tell me in the comments below whether you like number 1, number 2 or number 3, and which one you think you're going to have a go at, or is it all of them? Check out these video links for more fun activities for you, and thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.